All right. Here we are, my friends. Episode 27 of the Pwncast with my good friend Brozan and Home Dog. He's known as both. Home Dog on YouTube. Look, if you guys have a question about boating, being a pirate, just killing NPC boats, this is the guy, man. He knows it all, and he can write scripts like no other as well. But I mean, I guess I do this every time. But do tell me a little bit about yourself, even though I've already said a lot there. So
All right, man. Well, thank you. And I'd be doing everybody a disservice if I didn't do hey guys, Brozan here. Um, no, man. So basic background, just I'm a father of five. I love playing video games, have since I was 6 years old and got my first NES. I am 40 years old. You could tell by all the grays in my hair. And pirate enthusiast, love pretending to be a pirate in a video game. And as you kind of mentioned, I am in the tech world in my real life job. Been doing that for almost 20 years now. And we'll tell some fun stories about that too that relate to UO. So.
there you go. What actually got you into gaming? I mean, like you said, Nintendo was that kind of your
Yeah.
first system, and
So we had a Nintendo Entertainment System when I was young, 4 or 5 years old. Duck Hunt, Mario,
uh,
those types of games, Contra, and I wasn't hyper active with it. I didn't play it too much, and the Super Nintendo was coming out in 1991. I was visiting my grandfather in Washington State, and Oreos was running a promotion. If you get this thing, it basically the gambling on the snack
sure.
cakes back then. And so I tried so hard to win a Super Nintendo. Never did. Didn't get one. And then in 1993, when I'm 10 years old, 94, I was 10 years old, my grandfather comes home one day and he says, "Hey, I had a buddy. Guy owed him a bunch of money for some playing cards. And he went over to his house and he took this and he said he didn't need it. He just wanted him to pay for it." And my grandfather gives me a Super Nintendo. And Super Nintendo came with a few games. Super Mario World, obviously the one everybody played, but it had this game, Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 2 in the United States. And my brother and I played that game from front to start probably 6 times.
Yeah.
And so I've, I've always been real close to my siblings. I've got three siblings, but my brother and I, we played games together all the time. And so we played that game, and I'm not kidding. I bet I put 200 hours on this old Japanese RPG for the Super Nintendo and just fell in love with it. My mom always jokes that's where I learned how to read so well, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and one thing led to another. Ultimately, got a computer, and here we are today.
So was it? Now you said Final Fantasy 3. Now was this the one with Locke and Sabin and Terra and Kefka and
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
you were right the first time. It was 3, but Japan it was 6. And I always say
Yeah.
3 because you know what? The cartridge I played it said 3
Yeah. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you started it. But it's funny because if you go into these Facebook groups, they will just oh my
Oh,
god, you
I
will
know.
offend. It's hilarious. But man, that's so cool, dude. We can really relate there because I loved that game. I would no kidding, man. No shit. I'd get my allowance, all $4 of it, and I'd take it to Bronco Video, and I would rent it, and I would hope that I got the same copy that I
Oh,
had last
yeah.
Friday
Yeah.
so that I could load up my save game. Rarely happened. So, what I would do is I would stay up super late and then wake up super early. Like, I would fake go to sleep, and then when I thought my dad and my mom were asleep, I would wake up and start playing again because I just really wanted to beat the game. I never did
Oh
until
man.
we like right when I started streaming, I would do a retro Tuesday, and that was the first game that we played on every Tuesday, and I beat it. And man, talk about a good feeling! But that was like that game was the first game that ever got me in my feels. You know what I mean? Like you
Oh
felt
yeah,
a
yeah,
connection with the players and stuff. So it
yeah.
was great.
It those old games, man, and we've lost something from that era. And I don't want to wax and go on about how life was better because games today are absolutely amazing, but you didn't have the internet to discover all the little secrets, and I'm more guilty of it than most people. If I don't 100% something, I'm going to go online. I'm going to figure out how, or at least spoil it enough.
Sure.
And man, there was so much replayability in those single player RPGs because you didn't know everything. And even if you bought the game guide or whatever, it wasn't like it was just in your face. But
Hmm.
anyway, it was an introduction to gaming though.
You're 100% right, man. I can remember like my grandma would call me and say like, "Hey, do you remember where you go after this?" And I would call
Yeah.
her. Me and my grandmother used to play games together, right? And that would go for a lot of that. But now you're right. People just jump on and they want to min max everything. Like, well,
Yeah.
hold on. I do I really want to put my points in strength? I mean, the guide says put them in dex, and it's like you're gonna be okay, whatever you do, and you're probably gonna have more fun if you just screw up here and there along
Yep.
the way. Um, and I say that, or I guess we both do, as people that put are guilty of being the people that
Oh,
put stuff out. But it is what it is, man. But I miss
oh, I
those
know.
days of, even. Did you ever play EverQuest?
Oh God, dude.
Yeah,
Yes. EverQuest was the first MMO I truly played. I
yeah,
played UO, and I played UO from '97, like the very beginning. But my brother and I played together, and but it was. I hate to say it was for fun, but it was a hobby. It was
yeah.
just something we did occasionally. Well, I started playing EverQuest, man. We were the first guild on our server to clear time,
Oh,
and it was, God, dude. They call it poop socking for a reason.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that was a magical time because it was
Oh
at the beginning of websites. You know what I mean? Like you were there wasn't a guide for everything, and the
no,
information you learned was from your guild and guild chat. Maybe you guys had a forum. I don't know. We had a forum, and we would post stuff in there, but most of it
you
was
know, funny enough, I think Outlands has kind of recaptured a little bit of that magic in the sense now, not in everything, but you watch these guys doing high-end boating, these guys doing time. Now I know you're an outlier because you stream time, but those guys that I play with who go in time, that's top secret. You're not allowed in their channels unless you've known them for 5 years and
sure.
you're hard committed to you're never telling anyone
Yeah.
how to do this. And boating with the release of Wildlands, it was the same way. Like, we had strategies completely figured out. I went dark for 2 months. I didn't stream. If I created 2 videos in that entire time, and I had giant black boxes covering like half my screen. So, and people, I swear to you, I had 2 people do this, and I responded with, "Dude, I can't believe you did that." But I had a guy sit there and scrabble the YouTube video and find out the exact timings of the time between the abilities I was using, and he figured out what I was using based on that scrobbling of the time between the abilities. And I'm like, that's some nerd shit, and I am so proud of you for that. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that's dedication. I mean, it is weird, man. You stick something on the internet in front of people, and they will figure out to a T, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah,
that's
dude.
it's wild. So, okay, I gotta ask, man. The name Brozan, the name Home Dog, where'd they
Yeah.
come from?
So, sad story here. Brozan was an auto-generated name in World of Warcraft. I always used the name Ciel. And that's the name of my bard on Outlands. It's the first character I played on Outlands, and it was Ciel was Potato Lays backwards. In the EverQuest days, you got a last name at level 20, and my name was Ciel Autopop, Potato
Okay.
Lays. But Brozan, my brother-in-law was at the house one weekend. 20 years ago, and he wanted to play WoW on my account. And I was like, go for it, man. And he creates this warrior, levels it to like 30 over the weekend. It was Burning Crusade era. You could level pretty quick then. And he named it Brozan. And he obviously left, went about his business. I'm like, hell, I'm going to try playing the warrior. And I mained Brozan for like 10 years after that. And I get so many people that are like, dude, you're so chill. Your videos are so calm. Is that where you got the bro? And,
Okay.
all my shit's named like Bros Cardi or Bros whatever. And
Yeah.
it's, no, dude, it was auto generation.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I like that. I think that's cool. I remember those names because, otherwise you're just sitting there. I can remember looking at objects in my room that are sitting around and being like, uh, cup. You know what I mean? Like just trying to come up with a random name for
Oh,
something.
yeah.
And I named a character Band-Aid one time just because there was a little bag of Band-Aids right by my computer. So
One of the best pirates on the server, Chicken Nuggets. I
there you
mean,
go. There you
come
go.
on.
I like it. I like some chicken nuggets. So,
Yeah.
how long have you been
And
playing Oh, go ahead.
no. I was gonna say the name Home Dog. That's it's one
Oh yeah.
that my brother and I've mentioned him a few times, but we used to share an account when we very first started UO, and it was the '90s. And hey, Holmes, what's up?
Okay.
It
I
became Home
like it.
Dog.
I like it. I like it.
That's one last thing on names, and I'll shut up for you. I promise. But no, I went by a completely different name before I joined Outlands for UO, and it's one that I frankly I won't tell people. It exists out there. I was a heavy easy UO script creator, and I created a couple of the more nefarious ones. So I completely divorced myself from the nickname when I started playing Ultima again, and I decided, I don't want to be that person. And when I came on Outlands, I told my brother Ahoy, I said, dude, if we're going to play this, I'm not going to go against the server rules. I'll butt up against them as hard as humanly possible,
Sure.
but I'm not going to break the rules. And so I divorced the old nickname.
Is it a name you don't want to share?
It's not. If anybody did their homework, they could eventually find me because there's only a couple of guys who had
Yeah.
very public scripts in that sense.
Sure.
But it's not something I own, and I'd never say, "Oh yeah, you're right."
I hear you. Yep. Now, it is funny because, you say in that regard, and Ask Chopper, he plays on here on Outlands, and you
I
may
know.
remember AskChopper.com with you had to
I
put a
I
hack in
remember
to,
it
to see him.
very very well. I was a
Yeah.
bug tester on Ask Chopper.
There you go. Yeah. So he's slated to be the next for what is it? May June for June. So for next month. So
Man, you're
that'll
gonna
be an
laugh at this,
interesting.
but you gave me a little bit of heads up about what the questions you were gonna ask, and I was going to say Chopper's the guy that you should interview next because
Oh,
I caught up with him.
yeah,
It's been a while, but when I first started on Outlands, he was posting like a buy sell or something, and I'm like, "Are you the real Chopper?"
yeah,
Like anyway, good
yeah.
stuff, man. Good stuff.
I can remember the first time he said something in my chat, and I was like, "Ask Chopper. Hold on, wait." And then he was like, "Yeah, that's me." And I was like, "Oh my
Uh,
god!"
he's
I
got
was
such a
like,
thick voice too. Have you ever talked to him?
"Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah,
He,
you immediately you're like, "Oh, yeah, you're not somebody pretending to be Chopper. That's you." I
yep.
remember that from 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's him, man. So, what how long have you been playing UO, and what really got you to play UO?
Yeah, so very first time I played UO was in the beta actually. My grandfather brought home a beta CD and signed in, played for a little while. Wasn't really my thing, much as that's hard to admit now. I'd love to say, oh, I played from that day on. I've got this character that's got 20 years of rewards on it. No, I played and I put the CD up, and actually, believe it or not, I the account name. I tried once upon a time to recover the account, but I couldn't. And when I played paid server OSI again, EA, whatever, Broadsword, I don't know what it
It's
is
been
these
through so
days.
many owners, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll always call it OSI.
Yeah,
But
me too.
when I played it again, I just created a new account because I couldn't recover the old one. But so anyway, I started in the beta. There's this super famous scene out there of Lord British burning to death in a flame wall on top of his castle because he forgot to turn invulnerability on. And I was actually in the crowd for that. I had nothing to do with it. I
Yeah.
was in the crowd for it though and saw it.
Oh, cool.
Uh, and then I quit playing for a long time, off and on here and there. My brother and I, we found this server when we were 16, 17. So the game had probably been out 3 or 4 years by then. Early 2000s, maybe somewhere in there. Wolfpack made free shards, and Wolfpack, the individual, that was the username he went by, but it was also the name of the server software. He had his own shard. And so a bunch of the local guys, there were like 6 of us at the high school who played, started playing the free shard and played there for a long time. Had on and off stints with it. I played so much EverQuest, so much World of Warcraft. I hate to admit that.
Me
But
too.
in late 2006, I started playing again, but I started scripting. Um, I I started playing because a buddy of mine in college said, "Hey, I heard you used to play this game. Check this out." And he shows me Ask Chopper, and we were scripting heavily at the time, and it was some of the very first fully automated systems that came out. I didn't write this one. I just used it, but it used to go out, fish up SOSs, turn them in, and it was essentially free gold. And so my buddy and I set up like 6 accounts each because he knew I had DSL. This is where the reason he actually cut me in on it.
Yeah.
He finds out I had DSL. We set up like 6 accounts each. I'm running 10 accounts on my one computer, and we're selling the gold on eBay as a side gig.
Yeah.
Did that for a little while. No, not fun. It was just it was a job.
Sure.
And put the game down again. Came back in 2010. Played OSI just for fun. Still wrote a lot of easy UO scripts, but I was doing it for fun. I wasn't doing it for profit. 3 or 4 years later, dropped it again, and then 5 years ago, got the itch, like we all do. Once you grab hold of this dragon, you don't let go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, 5 years ago or so, I found Outlands just by happenstance and started playing here, and been here ever since. This one, and there were a lot of minor pick it up for 30 days, feel like I beat the game, put it down,
Yeah. Yeah. I
but
understand that.
something about Outlands, and I don't know if it's the aspect system or if it's the progression system. There was something about Outlands that really just hooked my attention beyond I maxed out my bar and bought a house. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Why am I beating up these same NPCs? And then 3 years ago, I found the ocean content. 4 years ago, God, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Uh,
Me too.
the November of 22 patch, I found boating, and that's an in-game system, man. I know you've got a bunch of questions, so I won't just beat that
No, it's
topic
good.
to death. But boating a lot of us who do it a lot joke that it's the retirement home for the Ultima Online gamer because it's a progression system on top of the progression system.
Yeah.
And
It.
it's that ARPG hook that none of the rest of the game has, where I can get that 3.3% better. That thing you're chasing in Path of Exile or Diablo or whatever. I can get that very, very marginal upgrade. Oh, but it also costs exponentially more.
Yeah.
I come in at base level and I can buy in at 500,000 gold. Oh, but this one thing, 60 million. you know?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you called it, the retirement, just right before. I mean, 10 minutes probably before me and you jumped in here. General Discord was saying, where is Florida on Outlands? and then somebody tagged hashtag ships, and and it was
Oh
like,
my
okay,
God,
yeah,
man.
that's funny because people go there to retire, and you're 100% right, man. To your point earlier about Outlands and picking the game up and putting it down. Man, I've played UO off and on since I don't know. I was like 13. It was the second age. Okay, I think I was 13, something like that. It wasn't right at beginning or anything. My father did, but I played it off and on. I always loved the game, and I sucked early on, and then different free shards. It was pretty much the exact same thing where it's like, all right, I got a house. I've decorated it. I've trolled some people, and all right. Oh, and then you play another game, right? You play Warcraft, you
Yeah,
play EverQuest, or what have you. But then, even UO Forever was the server I played prior to this, and I I loved UO Forever. It was great, and it was because of the progression systems that UO
yeah,
Forever had with with the relics and the experience that you would get with your pet and just stuff like that. It made you want to farm past just getting 1,200
yeah.
gold on a demon. You know what I mean? Like that didn't
Yep.
ever whatever. And so Outlands, I can I can vividly remember Beltane. He sent me a screenshot with his phone or a phone picture of his monitor. It's funny, and it's like of the patcher, and he's like, "I'm gonna try it, man," and I'm like, "Whatever, okay." And so I went ahead and installed it, and then it's just it's you're always working on something, man, and I
Yeah,
think you're 100% right. That's what makes it fun. Um, is that there's always some kind of something else to go, and then you meet some
yeah.
people and you're hanging out, and this is the longest stint I've ever had playing Ultima. I'm sure this YouTube channel helps a lot because it
Oh yeah,
this is
yeah.
time away from actually just sitting there grinding, But either way, man, I've really enjoyed it a lot, and yeah. But yes, Florida ships for
Yeah,
sure.
it's funny you mentioned the YouTube stuff, but streaming and doing the YouTube videos, the boating videos, that it's one of the few things that brings me back when the content's gotten stale.
Yep.
You know, it's and Owen and Luthieus, they come with their faults, and I've had very public, very big arguments with both of them. But I truly, truly respect what they've built. And I'm not saying that because I enjoy playing it. They've captured magic with this shard, in the sense that there's enough progression. It's not forced in your face. You can come on, you can play an
Yeah.
hour a day, and you can still have a lot of fun, but there's enough progression to keep the people like me who ADHD balls to the wall. I'm either full in or I'm full out. Um, and so they really have captured that magic. And in that, somehow they've created this social ecosystem where you want to engage with other people. You know, there've always been guilds, there's always been clans in Ultima Online since day one, but you in my experience, I utilized them for specific purposes. I knew the guys on Ask Chopper way better than I knew anybody in game.
Yeah.
And, we would have never told each other our characters because we were cheating a lot, you know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But, you had Outlands has captured this really, really perfect blending of the progression to keep you there long enough and the social pressure to join groups. um, Obviously, some of that too is we're in the internet era. It's so much easier to connect with people. I don't have to download Ventrilo and do a bunch of jumping through hoops to connect with the guys. But I some of these people that I've been playing with for 5 years, it's I took an 8 month break, and I have people connecting with me like, "Hey, how's the job? How's the wife? How's the
Sure.
kids?"
Yeah.
Stuff that the only other time I captured that essence was in raid guilds in WoW. And that was only because we were around each other so much. It wasn't because of the connection. So anyway,
Yeah. No, I get
Roseanne's kind of look back at it as a tearjerker moment, but
it.
it's There really is a desire to stick it out with this one.
Yeah.
And I think that Owen and Luthien have very much done an amazing job in that aspect of it. It also helps, and I'm going to piss some people off by saying this, but the way they moderate and the way they stay on top of the Discord
Yep.
is that's helped the community more than anything else. I if they allowed the types of things that I've seen in MMO communities in the past here, it'd have been burnt down a long time
Sure.
ago.
Sure. And it's even easier to allow that in such a niche game. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
where
yeah,
where
yeah.
each UO server is like, oh, I just need one more player. I need one more player. Oh, he said Ultima. I want him. I want him. You know what I mean? That's me grabbing another player by the feet and pulling them in.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
and they're very good at saying like, I don't need you guys that much.
yeah.
Go find another server, dude. It's okay. And
It's
and due to that,
I
it's
personally I
go ahead.
personally know a guy who's donated over $5,000 to this shard and was banned.
Yeah,
And like they're not fucking around about that. Like these
yeah,
are our rules. You might be a mega donor. I I could think of a couple examples that probably gotten a little special treatment early on, but I'm not going to name names. But I, in general, they've been extremely transparent about it and extremely good about the moderation of the community to grow a place where people want to contribute.
yeah, yeah. No, 100%. I mean, you've got so many people volunteering to do random things.
Oh my God, yeah.
It just they just want to be a part of it, and you see that in everything, man. Everything from the Outlands portal, you know what I mean, to the
Yeah.
the with Hayes making all the crazy clothes that we're wearing right now in game.
Oh yeah, dude.
Eric was a player and he became, he created time. You got Trank was a player, and
Yeah.
God, the list goes on of all the stuff that he's created with the client.
Oh man.
And it's all just people that have found Outlands and been like, "Hey, I could do this. I could help here,"
Yeah.
and that's cool. You don't see that a lot. Well, I don't know. Maybe I just missed it, but you don't really see that a lot of places. So
No, you really don't. It's there's a lot more greed a lot of times. And it's don't get me wrong, I don't want to give too much credit where it's probably not due. Some of it's just luck. They very successful shard just by nature of being big, you grow bigger.
hmm
And I I've always suspected that there are times where they would have been better off hiring actual moderators to come in. And, Owen could have done a good job about kind of keeping his mouth shut a few times. But at the end of the day, I respect the hell out of it that they do. They tank so much. You talk to
sure,
people who see the worst in life and they'll have a whole different human experience outside of UO.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
my wife.
yep,
My wife's a cardiac nurse, and so
okay,
anytime anybody's sick, they're probably going to die because of this, or that. She's seen the worst every day,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so and imagine being them. Oh my God, dude.
yeah, yeah.
I
I you know I think for their own mental health, it probably would have been better to hire moderators. But I will say this, man, where I do disagree on that point a little bit is that they're very in touch with their community. You know what I'm
oh
saying?
God, yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's they they know what's being said and who's who and things like that. And I think that's something that a lot of games these days kind of miss because they're not
yeah,
in touch with their community. And you know, eh, I mean, I get also the meta, I guess to say call it for what it is, of YouTube is talk negative. But I mean, if you look
right,
at like World of Warcraft content creators and stuff like that, it's all like, oh, here's something bad that happened. I can blow it up and make it a huge deal and be negative and
right.
this and that. But you know, Owen and Luthieus and Expo, they're in the discords, paying attention, looking at stuff, and like actually knowing what's going on versus just well, the community, which is not really the community, it's just their content creators that are blowing and making a bigger proportion out of something that's
Right.
not, you know. I
The silent majority. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
and please, I probably said a couple of things there that might have sounded negative, and I hope
yeah,
that it wasn't taken that way because, again, I truly, truly respect what they've done, and I mean that. And the last thing I'll say about it is I can't believe Luthieus listens to feedback and gives feedback. Like I'm a professional developer. Well, I was. I developed code for 12, 15 years. And
yeah,
now I'm a people leader now. I've been doing that for 7 years. And my client, a fairly large client out there, if they called my developers directly and gave them feedback, I'd jump their ass.
sure,
You know,
yeah,
I couldn't imagine being a lead developer and talking to the peon Brozan about boating content,
yeah,
like and he actually pays attention and like actually cares about that feedback. And hats off to the man.
yeah.
Hats off to him.
Yeah, that he's got a lot of patience, man. He's got
Oh my God.
in the online gaming world where it is, especially in the free online gaming world where it's so easy to just be like, "Oh, terrible product. Oh, bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate this. This is terrible. How dare you?" And it's like it it blows my mind because I often wonder like would they really be talking like that if this was in person? Probably not. You know
No.
what I mean? And it's but this is the world we choose to spend our free time in is the virtual world, Discord, 30-year-old wizard game world. And it's just for him to for both all Expo the whole staff to it takes some thick, calloused skin
Oh my God,
to
dude.
sit here and push a product out and be like, "Hey guys, what do you think about this? Oh, you hate it? Oh, okay."
Though, you make a really interesting point, though. I bet if you did an anonymous survey and it was not, you know, it, if it was truly anonymous and true opinions, I guarantee you 95% of people would say that play Outlands would say they love it.
Yeah,
There'd be a few people who've been pissed off for one reason or another. Somebody's entire way of playing got patched out or whatever. But in general, it's it's an extremely dedicated, and again to the retention,
yeah,
extremely dedicated community to that server. And man, as a business person, could you imagine having a captive audience of males 30 to 45 that have expendable income? Like they could be milking the shit out of this,
mhm,
and the most that they do is make Priv slightly worth more than gold for decoration.
yeah,
you know
right.
and they wouldn't have that community if they didn't do that, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, yeah,
I guarantee you if they sat down with a marketing individual for 30 minutes,
yeah.
they'd
They'd
find a
say,
way to
"What the
milk a
hell
hell
are
of a
you
lot more
doing?"
money out of
Those
us.
marketing
And
people
it's
be like,
working
"What?"
though.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway.
Well, other servers, Forever. If you have donated $3,500, then you get a cave house. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
it's stuff like that. There was like tiers and all this stuff. I won't forget it. And Outlands is just like, no man, we're you buy some clothes and be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm happy with that.
And
And then
there are people who use their Prev purchase, they purchase Prev, sell it for gold, and they use it for in-game stuff. I don't want to
yeah,
make it
but
sound like that doesn't happen, but
it's
I shit you not, when
yeah,
I'm power farming out there on the ocean, I'm pulling in the equivalent of I pull 500,000 or 400,000 dubs, which is, at roughly 80% value, 320 gold.
yep,
And then I pull in 60 to 70% of that in gold. So raw currency, I'm pulling in 500 to 600K in an hour. That's 30 Prev. I
yeah,
mean, that's $30.
yeah,
And if you're willing to throw down $30 to pay for what I went out there and had fun doing,
for an hour.
More power to you, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Yeah,
I
but at
don't
the same
mind that
time
that
too,
system exists.
like gold is, there comes a point where it's like gold isn't gonna make you better, man.
No. Oh,
It's
and that's your progression systems, your
right.
mastery chain, your aspects.
Yeah.
You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get started. You'll have a nice house. You'll look fancy, but you'll be tier one water
Yeah,
armor.
yeah, it's not really doing anything for you though. That's the point. Is that
Yeah.
it's like if you okay, so let's say you did for whatever reason spend money to buy a house. It's like what did that do for you? You didn't win.
Yeah.
You're not killing any faster.
No, and
Okay.
I want to be clear. I think that that's excellent. If you want to spend your money making time or you want
Sure.
to spend your time making money, good
Yeah.
for you. I work a professional job. I make fairly decent income. If I would rather work an extra hour of real work to have something in game, I don't care if somebody does that. It doesn't
Yeah.
bother me.
Yeah. I'm same way on there.
So
I could care less. It doesn't affect me at all.
no, and that's what they've done an excellent job of. If if Brozan goes out and spends $1,000, it does not affect Pwn at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. Especially you being out in the ocean. I'm just stealing little water cores from people in the dungeon. I don't give a shit
Oh
what you
shit, man!
boaters are doing.
I took us completely off the rails here. I'm sorry,
It
man.
don't matter, man. We're having a conversation. That's what this is all about. It doesn't matter, man. It is what it is. That's how it goes, man. But yeah, it is funny because every single server that has like a donation thing, like heaven forbid, Owen makes a couple fucking dollars or he does well. I don't give a shit. I hope he has got a house 4 times the size of mine in real life. I hope
Oh
he's
yeah,
got a
dude.
yacht bigger than your galley in game, and and I hope he drinks the best wine ever because I've put a lot of hours into this damn game
Yeah,
and
dude.
in making silly little videos over it. So I hope he's doing good. I
Dude,
hope he's doing good.
thank God there's not a slash plate on Outlands, right?
Man, it, I'm telling you, dude.
If I would have spent that time mining Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh God.
That's wow, yeah, there we go on that. Good old Bitcoin. Man, I for a little while I thought it didn't happen, obviously, but I was waiting to see if he was going to be like, "Hey, NFT or PREV," and I was like, I just because it felt like everybody was doing that for the longest time,
Yeah.
and there were jokes in the Discord about it and stuff. I'm really glad they didn't. Very
Oh
glad
man.
because I think it would have killed the
So
server. But
I I got a fun story for you.
yeah,
They very very recently. This one will be fresh on everybody's minds. They very recently banned the UO Assist API. It was a big change. Um, it drove a couple of things, but one of the things that mattered to me is it drove Enhanced Mapper, which was a third-party map program that lets you play with your friends. Um, I did development work on Enhanced Mapper for the Federation, the Feds, the
yeah,
alliance that I'm in.
yep.
And so my version of Mapper was what everybody used. And that was the running joke because I had these things called Tron dots on there. Trank stole the idea, and I love that he did. You know how you could follow your
So
character now?
so time out, real quick, time out. Tell everybody because I don't think if somebody hasn't been boating,
Yeah, yeah,
explain
yeah.
to them a little bit what Mapper did.
Yeah, so Enhanced Mapper is a program that you would connect to third party. It is a standalone program outside of the Ultima Online client. You would log into it with a login to a server that your guild or alliance maintained. And once you were logged in, it had a map, the Ultima Online Outlands map. And on that map, you could see all the other people who were logged in. It had a
Yep.
lot of other functionality, but the main reason it existed was I could look at the map that's, in the corner of my screen or whatever, and I could see, hey, there's Brozan, hey, there's Bogwater, hey, there's Alpha Nightshade. They're all in these locations. Didn't require you to be in a party, and it was all enabled by this thing called the UO Assist API. The UO Assist API let third parties. This is something built into the classic UO client. So what Outlands is built on the classic UO client. It's I don't think it's oh maybe it is open source. I'm not a CUO developer, but it's a very widely used software to build charts. Anyway, way more than y'all care about. the So Mapper utilized this API that's designed to allow third-party programs to collect certain player information.
Yep.
It was your location, your amount of health, your amount of mana, stamina, if you were poisoned, a couple other small things. Nothing game breaking. At least we thought so. And so Mapper took your location and your health and shared it to whoever else was logged in. Explore Outlands had another version of it where you could download their client and then put in a passcode and see all your friends. We, being the end game players that we are, we we might have pushed it to its absolute limit. And we had health monitoring. It used to beep at you if you got below 50% health. And we had what I called Tron lines. If you ever play the old game Tron, it showed where you'd been, and you could ping the map, and like it would show up to everybody as a ping, like, hey, so and so's here. And then probably the biggest offender is you had alarms. Alarms were
Yep.
it was called Panic in Enhanced Mapper actually, but it would in my
Flash
version
red,
it would
right?
make your whole screen start flashing red,
Yep.
and it would send a Discord hook that told all the people in Discord Brozan's in the middle of a fight and he's at this location. Your closest launch is FS27. you
Oh,
know,
I didn't know
like
it
it,
had the like
it was
closest
nuts.
launch too. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. I wrote a lot of math to get that part to work. It actually
Oof.
told you how long it would take you to sail there too. It's like
Wow. Yeah.
sailing at 6 tiles per second. It would take you 30 seconds to get to this fight.
I'll be there in 30 seconds, man.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, all of that to say, Enhanced Mapper was a tool we were using to help us play together more efficiently.
Yeah.
And the joke, the whole reason I brought this up, uh, I wrote the Tron dots, and Tron dots could calculate where every person on the map, and keep in mind, we had like 30 people connected at a time. It would show in a different color, like Brozan went northeast while Alpha went southwest, and it was a tracing path of all that, and it slowed it down a lot
Yeah.
because it's this old ass software. It's built on C# wind forms from like 2008. So it would bog down really quick and use like 15% CPU.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
there's like 350 people in feds, and they're all running my version of Mapper. And I always told them, you got to tell it to trust. You got to tell your antivirus to trust it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because it's a small custom-made piece of software.
Uh-huh.
And the other hand of that was, and I swear to you, I'm not mining Bitcoin on your server. If it starts heating up, that's not Brozan's code mining Bitcoin.
That's good. Maybe it was a little bit. No.
No,
Just
no,
kidding.
it really was the Tron dots. Those things can
Yeah.
go fuck themselves. I
Yeah.
optimized that code, I bet 7 different times.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. No, I can only imagine. I mean, it's pulling information from so many people, dude. That's
Yeah,
definitely
it
gonna
was
bog
actually
stuff down.
the refresh of the image. That was it had to draw a dot for every pixel you'd been on. And so the refresh of the map would draw like, I mean, that thing's 6,000 by 4,000. So you got
Yeah.
240 million. There's a lot of damn dots possible.
You needed quantum computing just to
Oh
to
man.
make it efficient. No, just
When
kidding.
Trank wrote his little show where I've been part, I sent him a
Yeah.
message. I was like, dude, I love this. He said, yeah, I only wrote it for one person because I listened to your video. I was like, you're a smart man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, I was thinking right when you said it showed where it goes, I was like, huh, the the world map actually does that now, and
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool that
Yeah, they
that
took that
came from
from
you.
Mapper. They're
Yeah,
also implementing pings in the near future, which I think
saw the
is
pings.
going to be super nice.
Yeah, I saw the pings. So okay, so back on that, do you with Mapper, and I also saw that video, but so I kind of know. But I mean, what's your take? Do you feel like it's good they removed it? Do you feel
They had
like
to. They had to remove it. There,
yeah,
it wasn't because of Mapper, though it pissed off more people.
yeah,
There was a very, very real abuse case there. So one of the things that Luthien in particular has always been passionate about is you cannot script cross healing in PvP. You know, it's they try very, very hard to make group PvP as scriptless as possible, especially where it comes to making health decisions again for other people.
yeah.
The UO Assist API, I know for a fact I saw the program, was being used by a couple of people to send health data back and forth, and using that with another program that would send a hotkey to UO allowed them to heal automatically.
Okay, so it's like if Brozan triggers below 40% health, my computer
Yes.
automatically triggers a greater heal straight to you.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
So basically, I'd be holding a pre-heal, and as soon as somebody in my group dropped below some threshold, and I
Yep.
could make it as complicated as I want to,
Yeah.
as soon as this trigger happens, it would drop the pre-heal.
Yeah.
So they had to kill the UO Assist API, and it was an all or nothing. It wasn't like they could just stop tracking player health because it's a core part of the classic UO client. So they
Yep.
had to kill the whole thing.
Yeah. And I mean it's like you said it I think people in general don't like having power and then all of a sudden being pulled back, but
Yeah,
sometimes it's
man. Yeah.
necessary. You know what I mean? I think recently even with the monsters, I mean people were farming 500,000 gold an hour just in
Yeah.
wherever, not even in the ocean, just wherever farming 500 gold an hour and it's like come on guys. It's like you're fighting the respawn boss more than anything and but
You want me to
sometimes
tell you a story that I
yeah,
only the people in the Fellowship FS, my guild, know? This
let's
this
hear
is
it.
a good one. I've never talked about this on stream and YouTube, whatever.
And now you're saying it on a
I
podcast. Here we
I
go.
am. I'm saying it on the Pwncast. So I've had some very, very public arguments with Luthien. Not because he was right, not because I was right, but because of the way, two people can bicker.
Sure. Yeah.
And he had a lot of very honest gripes about the way the ships community can act.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of assholes.
Yep.
And so
Yeah.
anyway, I I had a moment about 3 years ago where I got really pissy about some stuff that had happened, and so I released a bunch of scripts to the public that nothing like them had been released. I had a full auto miner, I had a full auto lumberjack, a couple of scripts like that. And I got pissed off for one reason or another because I'd been into it with Luthien in a public space. And so I'm like, you know what? It's Christmas. I'm going to spend the next 7 days. I'm going to release a video every day of here's how to automate this gathering. And so I did that. I did 7 videos where here's an auto miner, here's an auto, whatever. So, and I knew I was pushing a line there. Like I knew I was bumping right up against being a true asshole. But I kept one in my back pocket. And I told everybody in FS, I said, if I ever just hit that moment where fuck it, I'm done. Like you've taken it all away from me. Or, you've done something that's really, truly made me mad. I had a recall farmer that was fully automated, would recall around from a rune tome, kill everything at the spot. Everybody's seen them. Like there were a few floating around, but mine was good. I mean, really good. And that was always my trump card. Like if I get banned or pissed off or whatever, I'm just going to release this to the shard. And God, it's been 6 months or so ago that they set that timer where once you recall, you have to move 5 steps before you can damage mobs.
Yep.
trump card's gone.
Yeah, yeah,
Script's
it's
useless.
gone. It's gone. Yeah, yeah. No, I was a big rail miner. Jewel, you might remember Jewel way back when we still had Steam, UO Steam, and
Oh
I
yeah,
would I
yeah.
would have three miners going or two lumberjacks and a miner, whatever. If I was low, whichever I was low. Like if I have less wood, I'm running two lumberjacks and one miner. You know what I mean? Like however,
Oh yeah.
and man, I would just run that all the time, and that was back before you had a timer to recall. Because now it's a minute, and I would go up 21 tiles, and man, it was beautiful. At the same
Oh yeah.
time, ingots were being sold for 3 gold a pop, so imagine that. But still, um, that's that was wild. Again, I understand why it was removed, but I will tell you right
Oh
now, I abused the shit out of it. It is what
yeah,
it
man.
is.
And that's I told you earlier, that's when I came to this server, I told myself, I made a commitment that I'm going to play within the rules.
Yeah,
But I will go absolutely to the edge of the rules, you know. And they were allowed. It was allowed, so I'm working. I've got 3 screens over here and they're
yeah,
running while I'm working.
yeah. And I can remember when they did the you couldn't walk in scripts anymore. I
Yeah.
was when I was like, well, shit. Okay, I still got to make some money. All right, time to open Pwnholla. And so I made a vendor house, and now I went legit, man. I went legit.
I love it, man. Love it.
But
You know, I meant to tell you this when we started this, but
yeah,
I respect the hell out of what you do. I anybody who finds this shard, more often than not, if you ask them what was the first, how do you get started that you found, it was one of your videos. And just thank you for that content that you create. It's, I'm a very niche person. My videos are designed for a very, very specific part of this video game, and you do that part that I don't think I could ever do, where you talk to the everyman, the person who truly knows nothing about UO, and this is why you should play Outlands. This is what you should, these are the suggestions I have for you. And so I wanted to take a couple minutes while I had your attention and say thank you.
yeah, yeah. Of course, man. I love Ultima Online, man, and like we talked about at the beginning, specifically Outland. I've said it before, but I'll tell you either way. I had told my girlfriend at the time, a long time ago, like I think I might want to get into video editing, and I want to do some World of Warcraft boss raid tutorials. You know what I mean? And that was what I originally thought I wanted to do. And one day she was like, "Oh, well, I have this." It was just something she had, right? And it was a hard physical copy of Vegas Pro, and I was like, "Okay." And it just sat there and it collected dust for years, dude, for years. And then Trammy Surprise, I saw his goofy ass videos and I was like, okay. And I said, I really enjoy your videos. And then all of a sudden, like a week later, I was like, hey man, you inspired me to make a video. It's terrible, but I made a video. And he was like, yeah, keep
Awesome.
going, man. Just keep doing it. And every single time I wanted to uh, learn something new. And so it's fun because if you go back and you look at like the original first, like, I don't know, a couple years of videos, they are terrible, dude.
Oh,
But they came from a sense of passion, you know what I mean? And just me, like,
yeah.
this event happened on Ultima, and I was like, I'm going to make a video over it. And I just did the best that I could. And I would Google, how do you do this? And so I would take a YouTube tutorial video of video editing and I would implement it into that video. And it might be something small, it might be something big that the audience like caught and they're like, "Hey, that was cool you did this." But most of the time it was for me, right? But through
Yeah.
that, now I'll be honest, I don't look stuff up as often as I used to, but I'm kind of set. You get it, right? But
Right.
I still do and try to improve. But yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I
Of course.
love Ultima and
You
I want it to grow.
You mentioned the early videos. If you go to my YouTube channel and you sort by most popular, I got on. There was a time where I was making my coffee money on YouTube before they changed the monetization rules and all that. And so my very first videos and the most popular that I have, they're all Skyrim videos. There's no voice. It's just like, this is the Antioch Forge. And here's where you go to make Druidic armor. And it's
Yeah.
like a couple of words, and I've got 250,000 views on that video.
Yeah, yeah,
And I make these videos for UO, and my wife, she laughed at me because I kind of retired the YouTube account. I quit doing anything on it for many, many years. And I started doing the Outland stuff. And the first few videos I made were just fun. Like I'm mining with a PS3 controller,
that's
stuff
great.
like that to show off what I could do.
Yeah,
And then I started doing the boating videos, and I'm like, I actually like helping these people. Like I like
yeah,
this content. And every now and then I'll get on a kick. I'll start playing Path of Exile. I'll make one video that gets 10, 100 times the views that I get on
yeah.
all of my boating videos.
Yep.
And then I'll go right back to creating boating videos because that's what I like. Like I don't even make money on YouTube anymore. I was demonetized when they did all that. And I don't want to grow that community in the sense that not that I don't care about the people who watch my stuff. I I don't want people outside of the people who watch my stuff.
No, I get it. I get it. I, I oftentimes think, and I'm told, and I say, man, imagine if I would have put all these hours into World of Warcraft. A
Oh yeah,
popular
yeah.
game. It'd be a lot different. But I have put there is a stint where I did some World of Warcraft videos, and they did well, and whatever. But and I could have kept going with it and whatnot. And I've done other games and stuff like that. But it always ends up feeling like when it's time to make one of those videos, I'm doing it because I feel like I have to. Whereas with
Yep.
Ultima, it's more of, ooh, I want to make a video about this. There's a lot more
Yeah.
passion behind it, and man, I got a
Yep.
job. I'm not trying,
Yeah,
like if I could go
exactly.
full time on YouTube, that'd be cool. But
Yeah.
so,
I've got a really good friend who made it big in Twitch. He pulls down a lot more than I ever thought possible. And but you know what? He's been playing the same game for shit. How old's Hearthstone? Anyway, he's been playing the same game over a decade.
yep,
And every time he tries to play a different game for fun, he loses half his crowd. And he
yeah.
has to go back because that's become his job. And I, I doubt I could ever make it big these days. If I would have tried early on, maybe, but I've passed the point where it would be a desire of mine, and I like creating content for what we do. This is what I enjoy. So
Yeah, no, I I like making stuff that I enjoy a lot more
yeah,
than feeling like, oh, they just put this out. Oh, I have to do this because I
yeah.
have to be the first one to do it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh
So,
yeah, dude. That's when I was trying to run up the YouTube channel. I did really well with the release of Skyrim. I did really well with it. And
yeah,
so I'm like, the next big game is going to be Star Wars Online. And so I went through and I captured a bunch of stuff that I knew would fit really well on the wiki. I I put a lot of effort into it, and I got a lot of views from it. I got a lot of
yeah.
subscribers from it. But I stepped back and I looked at what I really did, and I'm like, man, I made like $400 on the ad revenue from that. I make that in a day at the day job. Why the hell am I killing myself?
There
I
you
don't want to
go.
be. I don't want to be that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, with that said, I mean, I mean, you're streaming here. I guess you've
Yeah.
had a little bit of a break here recently, but
Oh
and
my god, dude.
your YouTube stuff. I mean, eh, what's your end game with that? I mean, are you just kind of
Yeah.
hanging out, throwing some stuff? I mean, what's up?
Yeah. So I My kids put me up to this actually. So I've got adult children. I've got two 19-year-olds, a 17-year-old, and then my younger ones are 7 and 6. But my oldest daughter, she was like, "Hey, Dad, you create this content. I know you enjoy it. Why don't you stream?" And I was like, whatever, and I set it up and I did a couple of small streams, just, here's me doing stuff. And I got good viewers. Like I posted and I'd pick up 25, 30 people. And it was fun to talk to them, to do that stuff. And my oldest daughter, she said, you here's a lot of backstory you don't care about. I moved to Michigan recently. I'm from Arkansas. I moved to Michigan. My social circle of real people shrank drastically,
Yeah.
and she's like, you're not doing as much socially now, and because I still work Central Time, I wake up, get my kids off to school, and it's 6:30 Central. When the kids leave here at 7:30. And so I've got 2.5 hours to kill in the morning before I log into work. And she's like, just start streaming to the people that you play with. And it became a really fun thing. Like I'd get on
Yeah.
there and I know you know this, but I know we're also talking to a broader crowd here.
Yep.
Just that I'd had the same people in chat every morning. And it's just like we were all playing in Discord together, but
Yeah.
there's more because they're talking about what's going on in the game and
Yeah.
they're asking me questions and they're driving that content. And it really checked that social lack box for me. Enjoyed the shit out of it, streamed hard for like 2.5 months, and then real life happened. I've got adult children. So in the span of 6 weeks, I was to Arkansas like 4 times. I was to Colorado. Um, I was, I didn't, I wasn't logged on at all. We had to reschedule this because I was up in Colorado watching some Rockies and Tigers games. But it kind of backed off the streaming a bit. I stepped back. I'm playing a lot of Hearthstone Battlegrounds right now. Don't tell anybody. And so I don't want to stream that to my UO crowd because and so I'll get back into it. We got mid C right around the corner, and I
Yep.
can guarantee you there's going to be some Brozan highlights for mid C. So
What you gonna be playing? Poison Necro? What are you gonna be playing?
I'm gonna be playing asshole.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I'll probably farm the first 2 or 3 days. I'll try to make sure that I'm in the top 90%. So for those of you who don't know watching this, every event has an event score. And if you get in the top 10% of players, you usually get the best rewards, except for the top three players get something special. And so I will farm enough to where I'm comfortably in the top 10%, which for me means I'm going to farm pretty hard 2 to 3 days. And then I'll farm as I need to maintain it the rest of the week. But putting that early work in is usually the most important part of it.
Yeah.
But as soon as that's over, as soon as the work part of it's done, I'm going to be out there murdering everybody. it's,
That's the
it's
best thing.
glorious.
It's so
The,
funny. Like when you get a new boater out there, it's like shock, because
oh,
I say it all the time. You go up to a boat and you see somebody, and if they're half life, don't spare them. I know you want to be nice.
no,
I know
no.
you want to be nice, and you think you're making a friend, but I promise you, after their full life, or maybe way less, there's going to be 4 people that swarm you, and that person that you spared is one of them, and you are
Oh
dead
god, dude.
every time. You
That's
sink them, and you get out of dodge.
the ocean is such kill or be killed, and I
Yeah,
love it for that. And so I will spend because there's going to be an interest in ocean by, everybody who's played it a little bit's going to be out there because it's the mid-sea week.
I'll be out there. Yep,
And
yep. I
so,
always am.
yeah. Well, I,
I,
I will I'll wave to you as I go by as I tell
yes,
the rest of the guys, "Hey, Pone's over here."
that's how it goes.
But no,
Uh,
the PvP side of it, man, that's what I live for. It's you watch any of my streams, Orphan, great guy, boater, been on Outlands forever. He used to say, "Man, you're so calm when you stream. You're so calm. Your videos are just relaxed." And it's because when I started doing YouTube videos, I didn't upload PvP. If PvP happened in my recording, I would either cut the video then or I would delete it because there's a lot still that happens in PvP that I don't want other people to know how to do because I want that advantage.
It's funny.
Um,
Yeah.
when I started streaming, obviously I'm not going to black out the screen every time I get into a fight.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it turns out Brozan had a lot of emotions. He just didn't show them when he's farming NPCs.
But isn't that great though, man? Like for me, Ultima is the only game that if PvP happens or really anything, but yeah,
Yeah.
PvP, that you get an adrenaline rush. And you know what, man? We're both established players. If you get sunk, if I get sunk, if I die on my thief, it doesn't hurt anything. But you know what? That adrenaline still will pump from time to time, and I
Oh my
love
God.
it, man. I don't get that in any other game that I've ever played, ever,
Yeah.
ever.
No, it's absolutely true. It's my hotkeys are set up in such a way that
Yeah.
I can't screw up pushing them because I get into a big fight and my hands, they're just,
Oh,
you know,
you're
and
hitting them.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to push
yeah.
a certain set of hotkeys,
It
and
happens.
I
Yeah.
purposefully have them set up at areas of the keyboard that are hard to, like,
Yeah.
I can't screw this up by accidentally pushing it. Yeah, man, it's you play games like EverQuest, like World of Warcraft, especially ones with instances. You you never have to worry about dying if you play the game right.
Right. You
Like,
just get annoyed with time. That is the
yeah,
only thing is annoyance with time.
and
Like,
with UO, and especially the ocean where it's gray. Any for those of you who know nothing about the ocean, the ocean's a gray dungeon. Like everybody out there, you can kill them without any repercussions. And so you've got greens, which are your alliance, and you've got grays, which is everybody else. And so it's very, very bloodthirsty. There are major alliances that absolutely hate each other. Like I love individuals. Like there are guys in Mega who I talk to all the time in DMs and stuff. Good friends in GG. I hate to admit that, but but if we're on the ocean together and I see somebody that I know's in the Mega Alliance, I will I will sink my fucking boat to sink them.
yeah.
Like I told this story
So
once upon a time,
go ahead. Yeah.
and yeah, I hate to cut you off. I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
man.
no. Keep going. Keep going. I was about to cut you off.
I
Keep going.
I told this story once when Wildlands was coming out, so Luthien would understand. And I got it amazed me. I got like 300 reacts on Discord, which never happens. But I typed out this novel. But one time, I'm out farming and I'm at the end of a run. At that time, like 300,000 in an hour was a good run, and I'm sitting on like 400,000 doubloons in my hold, and I've got all the special loot, all the rares that come with that. I've got like an hour and a half's worth of effort on my boat, and I spyglass an enemy boss. It's the Ocean Fury, and I've got two friends who are out kind of close to where I am, but they're about a 2-minute drive from me on their boats. And I was in Discord at the time, and I'm like, "Hey, Alpha." Alpha Nightshade, big boater on Fellowship. I'm like, hey man, how soon can you get here? I've got a boss on glass. He's like, oh, I got about 2-minute drive. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna hit the alarm. And so I hit the mapper alarm, and that tells everybody on Discord, and people are starting to pull online because alarm means get out of the fucking shower and get to your computer. Like, we talked about poop sock and EverQuest earlier. That it
Yeah.
really used to mean that. And so people are trickling on. The closest ones are like, "Hey, we're on our 3-minute launch timers," and I'm getting closer. I'm trying to fill out this situation, and you get a spyglass. Really, the only way you can tell what's going on around you on the ocean, and it pops up this ugly ass gump, and it says, there's two gray galleons and a boss to your west. And I'm like, fuck, they're on their boss. I'm like, I don't see any larges, which larges are usually PvP ships. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go see. I'm talking in Discord. I'm like, guys, I'm gonna go put my nose in there. I'm gonna see what's going on here. I'm gonna back off. I get closer, and there's three galleons. They've got the boss. It's at half health, and I'm like, if I can flag them in PvP, this is the way before they changed the PVM rules. It
Yep.
used to be if you were flagged PvP, you lost all your aspect.
Yeah.
Basically, you lost all your damage. I'm
Yep.
like, if I can flag them in
Slow it down.
PvP, my guys can get here and get launched. But I'm going to be 3 versus 1 if I do this. And so I creep in there and I'm like, fuck it, here we go. An hour and a half worth of loot on me.
Yeah.
Run in there, flag them all for PvP, run like hell. I'm not
Yeah.
there to fight. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
there to
You
slow
just
them
want to
down.
flag them and slow it down. Yep.
As soon as I do, 2 larges show up on my glass, which larges are the PvP ships. They obviously
Yeah.
had support out there. It's mega. Long story short, I'm like, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to die. I'm sailing right back into this bitch and I'm going to flag them again. So I turn that ship around. I drive right back into all 3 of them. I drop everything that I can and then I sink and I'm dead. And I've lost an hour and a half of gaming plus, the dunk fees. It costs you 80,000 dubs to sink a galleon. And it's one of the best memories I've got on UO.
Yeah.
Like, I lost and I was so happy because
Yeah.
my team came in after and cleaned them up.
There you go.
And we secured their boss. And the boss is worth 500, maybe a million gold. I think a main's worth a million gold.
Sure.
Anyway, not
Yeah.
probably not even worth all the rares and golden dubs that I had
Yeah,
on
but
my
who
ship when I
cares?
sank, but I took it away from them.
Yeah.
And that was the most important thing.
Yeah. No, it's fun because when you pull something off, because if you wouldn't have went in there and flagged on them and all that, then the boss probably would have died. They would have looted it and they would have
Yeah.
scooted away. You know what I mean? But you created a story. You created a
Oh man.
memory that, look, 500,000. Come on. You can get out there in an hour and a half later and take care of that another time. But
Oh,
you won't be
and
able to
that's
get
the
another
fun
memory
too.
like that. So,
And so yeah, those are the types of memories that you create in the game that just that's why what there's a word for it and I can't think of it right now. Um, it's a type of gaming. Anyway, um, pop up. God, for the life of me, I can't think of the name of that word. But you get it on UO and you don't get it other places
yeah.
because another player, by performing a negative action, created this whole dynamic fallout situation. And it can end in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And there are times when you can play your absolute best and still lose.
Uh huh.
And I played, in my opinion, I played my absolute best, and I
Yeah.
still sank. I still lost,
Yeah.
but
But you don't get that in
that's
other
what makes
games. You know what I mean?
no,
Another game that would have been an instant scenario where those 3 galleons would have killed the boss and been like, "All right, you want to spawn another one? All right, queue us
yeah,
up." And then it's like
yeah,
another instance. But
and it's fun.
it's
Don't get me wrong. That type of gameplay is fun,
yeah. Hey, I mean, I
but
play those two. Listen, I play Warcraft every few months. I'll get on there for a month or two and I'll play, and I have a blast. I really do. It's a great game for what it is. But listen, I just love pulling off epic heists that I shouldn't have gotten away with, or epic
yeah,
things and just the weird interactions that are just organic. That's what it is. That's
oh
what
yeah,
sets Ultima apart is how organic it is versus, all right, you're in this dungeon now, do it.
oh yeah, yeah.
But so to go back to your very first time boating. First off, what got you into boating? And I mean, were you given an icebreaker?
Yeah.
Did you what happened?
Yeah, so I started boating in September of 2022,
Okay.
which it's relevant because the big boat patch that changed a lot of the systems happened in November of that year. Um, I I started out with some friends. I was in a guild called Stars Before Sunrise. Silver Sprout, Thrawns, my brother Ahoy.
I remember
We
Silver Sprout. Is he still playing at all? Sorry.
He doesn't play.
Okay.
No, great guy.
Yeah.
He took a break from mental health, and then I
Okay.
don't think he ever came back. I'm actually friends with him on Discord. I should check in on him. But Thrawn's, he was real big into boating, and he was the only one in the guild. And he took a bunch of us out. Like we all bought mediums and larges, blank, no anything on them, and we drove around and we killed a bunch of ships, and it was just this big guild thing, you know. And it was a lot of fun, like a lot of fun. Slowly ramped up in that for a while, and then I got to doing it more and more. I was out. I realized you could put multiple characters on a boat. Can't do that anymore. And so I would run all three of my accounts on the boat and got to playing more and more and more. Then I got really infamous within the boating community because I wrote a bot that I released to the public. I called it the boat bot. Boat bot. I know, very, very original, but I maintained that for a long time, and that kind of drove my desire to play because I'm a project person. I
Me too.
decided this is what I'm going to do, and so fine tuning the bot was all I did for 8 months, and so I did everything I could to make the bot better and better and better and better. When they finally disabled parties on boats, I had like 2,500 lines of code in the boat bot, but that kind of drove me to play more. My second time ever boating, I'm out there. The first time I went out, I got a ship upgrade, and I put it on my boat, and I thought I was so fancy. I had a ship upgrade, no crew, no nothing else, a ship upgrade, and I'm farming outside of shelter because I didn't even know, you could farm smaller boats in shelter at that time. And I'm farming outside of shelter, and a high tie guy. High tie was the big guild back then on the ocean. High tie guy pulls up on me, and I swear he's doing a million miles an hour. I saw the fucker pop a wheelie as he comes up, and he just he wipes me out in like 10 seconds,
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, I died. I'll show as a ghost, and maybe this guy will res me,
yeah.
right? And he reses me, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe he's not a complete asshole. He's like, okay, dancer, I'm gonna sink your boat. And I'm like, "What? What?" And I fucking did my little dance, and I saved my 10,000 dubs to not get sunk.
Yep.
But, then I realized nobody's your friend on the ocean
No.
real fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
And
made mistakes, just like I had said earlier, of seeing somebody low life and just going, "Hey, have a good farm," sailing off.
yeah,
No.
no. And, everybody hated me. It's the established players, and I'm not trying to make myself sound important. Boat bots existed, they just weren't public. A guild had it or whatever. And mine was public. And so I enabled all the people who wouldn't have had access to it to run their second and third characters on their boats. And that pissed off a lot of big names in the boating communities because it made pirating harder. You got to kill three characters instead of one. You don't know who's the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
It complicated things. And so, on top of the already hostile environment, everybody fucking hated me. you know? So, if they saw me, it's they're, so anyway.
People, information is power, right? Knowledge is power, and people will hold on to that stuff. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, that was, rewind back to earlier. We were talking about I would rail mine, and Jewel. He was the first person to make a rail miner script public, and people fucking lashed out at him like crazy, and he got very upset about it. He deleted his GitHub and he quit the server. He
Yeah.
was just mad because everybody got upset. He was like, I'm just trying to help people. And he really did it
Yeah.
out of the kindness of his heart. First, he gave it to only people that he was close with, and then he kind of gave it out a little bit more. And of course, it got out and all that. And
Of
so,
course. Of course.
but it is what it is. I always think when something goes public or you become in the public, you're gonna have one side of the coin that's likes you, and then you're gonna have another side of the coin that hates you, and it is what it is, man. Just
Oh man, we're all and I mean this in the nicest way possible. If you go in ships PvP, you better wear a raincoat because
yep,
everybody in there. is just ripping on each other. And these are people who've known each other 5, 6 years, you know?
Yeah.
And like if I was at the bar, I'd go have a beer with them. But in
That's
this
what I was gonna
public
ask.
persona,
Do you think some of the people that really hate each other in there, if they were to bump into each other, they'd be
dude,
cool?
I've said this many, many, many times. I do this very niche thing already on
Yeah.
an already niche hobby.
Yeah.
Uh, the amount of people who do this thing that I enjoy are in the hundreds, you know, out of I don't even know what the population is around me anymore, but we have a lot more in common than we don't, whether we want to sink each other out there or not.
Yeah.
And I've met up with a couple of the guys and had beers because when I moved to Michigan, a few of them live in Grand Rapids and down by Detroit, and not even people I are on my team, you
Sure.
know.
Yeah. What are the so you're in feds. What guilds compromise or compose of feds? And
Yeah,
then
so
mega, if you
feds.
know.
Oh God, mega.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
call
just
it mega. So a little history on Mega to make it make sense. Uh, there are two big alliances right now. There's Mega and then there's Federation. Mega started as a conglomeration of guilds who would they had what they called boat stones. You know, like you would put your character in a guild and then it would be allied to all these other guilds that on land you're not friends, but on the ocean you're playing on the same team. And it made it such that they had a really, really good pipeline. They were bringing in new boaters constantly. They and they quickly became the biggest group on the ocean. And as with anything else, numbers matter,
yep.
you know.
Yep.
And so it quickly became a case of you can't compete in the big objectives like contested ocean. Contested ocean happens once every 24 hours and it's a big freaking deal. You know, everybody who's active at the time shows up and it one side or the other wins, but it's usually a big fight. And when Mega, they just got bigger and bigger and bigger by nature of and please, I'm the other side, so I say things as you know they did this wrong, but they f they set it up in such a way that almost anybody could get in, and it didn't matter. Like, you know, it wasn't I will never be friends with some people on this server, you know, and I don't wanna boat with them, and that's okay. They don't wanna boat with me either. And the mega mindset was more of, let's bring in anybody who will boat. The more green we have, the wider radar we have, we know where everybody else is. And so, anyway, um, Mega was started by DOK and Face. Now, DOK quickly fell out of it. They didn't like where it was going. Face really ran with it. Um, there are there are so many guilds in it. I don't
Yeah.
even try
Sure.
to keep up with who is or isn't. There's essentially three alliances on the water. There's Mega, Federation, and GG. And GG's not fielding as many boaters these days. And then there's all the individual boaters, you know,
Yeah.
the people who are just trying it out. But I'm not sure even how
Yeah.
many guilds, probably 40 by now in Mega.
Yeah. It's pretty much
Feds
just
are
if you want to be part of it. Hey, I'm on the ocean. I want to be in mega.
well, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
I I know I'm coming across as they did a bad thing. They did an extremely smart thing. Because they made a bunch of friends, you
Yeah.
know? It was let's not kill each other. Let's group together and be stronger for it. That's a very, very valid way of playing on Outlands. And
Well,
so
when you can farm 500,000 an hour, I
yeah,
mean, why do I want to get it interrupted with PvP? Now, I'm with
exactly.
you. I do because I want to have fun. But I mean, monotonously farming gold is boring to
Well,
me. But
it's nature to want to win. You know,
yeah,
I want to
yeah,
win.
yeah,
And that's a very, very valid way of winning.
mm,
You throw numbers at winning.
yeah,
And the reaction to that was FS. the guild I'm in, the Fellowship, we've always been allied with Warg. Wargs, we've just been tied at the hip since day one. FS came about because of a bunch of people leaving High Tie 4 or 5 years ago. Um, Almost all of us that were in, well, are in the officers. We were in High Tie together. We split from High Tie, and Warg came with us, stayed with us. Warg is a role playing guild, orcs. Um, Really, really good guys. But we filled at our busiest times back then. We'd filled 10 people, and we couldn't compete. We could not compete with the numbers Mega was putting out. And so we tried a bunch of different alliances that eventually fell apart. We temporarily aligned with Sin. Um, there was another one that fell apart, but we eventually we landed with NKB, New Kids on the Block, and it was a really good partnership. And it's always been um, our way of playing that you had to be a full ally. If we're going to do this, I don't want you killing me in or in ossuary and then being out here boating with me. I'm not going to trust you, you know? And so that's the main difference between what Federation was built on and what Mega is we required full alliance only when we started it. There were a couple of grandfathered in cases. So anyway, FS, Warg, and NKB were doing well together. Um, for a while because we were all active. And then we started trickling off and it became we lost everything. We just couldn't compete numbers wise. And so Guardian and Castro, myself, Alpha, Bogwater, a few other people here and there, we got together and said, we got to do something about this. Guardian is of DOK, Castro of NC, and so we came up with the concept of merging what used to be the Iron Alliance with what was always called the FS Alliance. And so we took DOK, we took NC, added them to FS, to NKB, to Warg. They brought with them IDC and Evil. Evil was a boat only stone, and it was kind of a grandfathered in thing. But we were all full allies, et cetera, et cetera. Here recently, because of attrition in numbers, we decided to open up the idea of making more alliances, and we've actually done boat only alliance with Peck and Cool, Cool, and an Italian guild ITA.
Okay. Yeah.
And actually, I think ITA is full alliance. I've been kind of absent from the game for the last few
Sure.
weeks, but
Yeah.
anyway, we kind of had to evolve with the times too. And I looked in my server just now, and there's 551 members in the Feds Alliance. It's grown gigantic, and it was never the intention. We just wanted
Yeah.
numbers to compete, but
Yeah.
now it's a living, breathing thing, and it's out of the control of us creators.
Do you feel like I mean I'm with you. It's an MMORPG. You throw numbers at something, you're gonna win. That's all there
Yeah,
is to it. But do you feel like there's anything that should or even could be done about it? And it's not even to say in Outlands. I mean, it's to say in MMOs in general, right?
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, do you feel like there's anything that could or even should be done about that?
It's a hard thing. On the one hand, I hate seeing the new guy get run over by 5 boats. Like I legitimately don't like that. If I'm out there by myself and I get swept, I deserve it. I could have been farming with my friends, but that guy he's out there on a blank large and he's farming in the shallows, and I don't like seeing him get beat up by the big Zergs, my own Zerg included. It's not going to stop me from sinking him. Like it's a bloodthirsty kill or be killed world out there,
Yeah.
and but I think that it's not the optimal system. But then on the other hand, you go to one of these contesteds or you go to one of these stolen bosses and you fight for an hour if you've ever been in one of those videos, or one of those videos, if you've ever been in one of those scenarios, or you've watched one of the videos from it, it's it's probably the most fun I've ever had in a video game. Like, I it's 20 on 20 and positioning really matters, and
God, and people just
fucking
getting blocked left
convicts
and
there
right,
with
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
convicts there on his goddamn repair ship of the line, and like
yeah.
the people start coming out, and you've got your callers. And it was funny when we put feds together, a bunch of the DOK guys were like, we would always sync you, Alpha, and Nugget first in the big fights.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, me? Why the fuck were you syncing me? And they're like, well, you guys are the callers. Like, ain't nobody listening to me. I'm just public.
What is a ship of repair ship of the line? What is
Oh,
that?
it's a build. It's a build in PvP where you set all of your ship upgrades and all of your crew geared to being able to take as much damage as humanly possible.
Uh-huh.
And the idea, if you've ever watched any strategy games or anything like that, it's zone control.
Yeah.
I take this big ass immovable ship, slow as shit, but it creates like this zone where if I get in there and I waste these shots on him, somebody else is gonna kill me.
Yep. Yep. And
It-
and I and every time I'm sure that he comes in horizontally just slow like a fucking slog, and then people
yeah,
unload like an icebreaker on him and he's like, "Yeah."
yeah,
Right?
no,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for shooting me. Now all my guys who are damage focused are about to put you on the bottom of the ocean. Yeah.
That's
And those
cool.
those battles those battles are the reason that people like me still play the ocean after thousands of hours of doing it.
I Yeah, so that right there intrigues me, man, because I never knew that it was anything like that. I've always just, any of the battles, I used to do sweeps.
Yeah.
When I was in Wrecked, I was allied with SOF and Urk, and we would sweep, right?
Yeah.
And it was a great time. We would just, oh, there's a boat, kill it. All right, there's a boat,
Right.
kill it.
Right.
And that was it. That was the extent, and then a boss, okay, here we go. All right, I'm on him. Let's, you know what I mean? Like there was a little
Yeah.
bit of
Yeah.
coordination, but um, I haven't done anything coordinated since then, really. I mean, even
Yeah.
my time in
I,
Sin, when we were allied with you guys, I never did anything.
right.
But that's
It's
cool, man. Yeah,
It is very much a team game when the two groups collide. Now, it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes
sure.
it's 10 of us gangbang one of them, and
Yeah,
then sometimes it's the other way around. And then sometimes sweeps crash into each other. I might be out farming in the middle of the ocean, and I get hit and I'm running away and I'm yelling to my buddies, come save me. And next thing you know, it's a 5v5 and we're fighting it out.
yeah,
That happens regular enough to where you start to build a strategy around it. And it's funny. I'm a very very aggressive player. I'm the guy who pushes out in the front of everything, and I have learned to be a caller, even though those guys were teasing me about we'd sync you, and I'm like I don't know why,
yeah,
but yeah, good for you. You took me out, so
yeah,
Alpha and Nugget could ruin your worlds. But no, really, really often we'll be in comms and you'll hear death ball, death ball, death ball. And what it means is quit being an idiot. Don't be a hero. Don't get out there and try to push into them. Try to break one of them off, sink him, break one of them off, sink him,
yeah,
power in numbers. And I'm that guy who's in the front of the death ball going, all right, we got so and so, focus fire on this guy.
yeah.
And oh man, it's something else.
Good, man. I like that. I like that. I can. They want to sync you because they know that you stream, you're on YouTube, and you've released a lot of stuff. I mean, you're somebody, man. I've been in PvP fights, and I am not the caller, but people will be like, "Oh, kill
Oh,
Pwnstarr," and I'm like, "Dude,
oh yeah, dude.
I'm on my thief. I ain't doing shit right now. I'm trying to steal your eggs, but good luck in this."
Yeah. It's
But
fun though, man. It's so
yeah,
fun.
that's cool, man. So, there were a lot of changes with Wildlands, and
Yes.
um, I mean, what's your take on those? And then also we're hearing there's going to be changes come soon. What are you
Yeah.
hoping for?
So with Wildlands, the biggest change was an overall nerf to the variety of crew. And what I mean by that is it used to be you had a lot of unicorns. You had your, and I'll use the old names for them, people won't recognize them, but you had your 10 base powder monkeys, your 10 base GCD engineers, like these absolute unicorns of crew that they were so rare when they came up for sale, they were 75, 80 million gold.
Okay, that was going to be a question. I
And
was going to say, what was the most you've ever seen one sold for, or bought one, or sold one?
yeah, I'll get to that in a second, I promise.
Yeah.
So you had these very chase crew. Now the meta as it exists, speed crew are still extraordinarily valuable. Like the higher end speed crew are still unicorns, but and high cannon damage powder monkeys are unicorns. All other crew are worth like the meta crew, they're worth 1 to 2, maybe 3 million gold, which sounds like a lot to those of you who don't do ocean. But if you're on the ocean, 1 to 3 million for an investment like that, it's really not a lot. Um, Talking gold, most I ever bought crew for was I spent 32 million gold to pick up 2 crew. They were 2 8 base GCD hedge mages.
Yeah.
The most I ever sold a crew for was I think 10 million.
So
Yeah,
a
10 million.
hedge mage had Scalar on it too, right? Wake Scalar and
Yes.
GCD. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I remember a little
Yep.
bit. I remember a little bit.
Yep. And so, hitting all of one stat is very valuable on a crew. But Wildlands it heavily condensed a lot of stats, which was needed, absolutely needed. But it also removed a lot of the use on some of those crew. So, especially cooldown crew lost a lot of value with Wildlands.
Yeah, my boat so much GCD, and
Yeah,
you know, I'm over here like, well, I had a great PVM boat, but not anymore.
yeah, and I think that it was needed. He added that aux slot and he reduced cooldowns overall. So you use more abilities now than you
Yeah, it's
did
fun.
pre-Wildlands.
Yeah,
And I think he hit the nail on the head with that aux slot and reducing GCD, RCD, LCD. They used to be 642, now they're 432. Which I mean, 2 minutes off of how often you get to use this ability is a big deal.
yeah,
But it came with a lot of other changes. Boat mobs became much more difficult. It used to be we ran poison mages, and you would board the boat, and everything would explode, and you'd move on to the next thing.
yeah.
The crew killing part of boating wasn't really much of anything.
It was real
Now,
quick.
now with Wildlands, it got harder. But sorry, my kid's staring at me through my glass door, being weird. Um, Now, before the most recent mob patch, you had to at least pay attention. You didn't just jump on a ship and delete everything. The mob clear became like 30 to 45 seconds of the loop, which previously to Wildlands it was 10 seconds.
Yeah,
With this most recent buff to mobs, the one that made demons worth like 3,000 gold, there are boats that I jump on and immediately turn on frost armor. you know,
yeah. I'm sure.
like
Yeah,
But they also increased the value of the captains of the ships. I did a series of videos showing off what I call shallow water farming. Sinking smaller boats. And no shit, I would get like 8,000 gold from a small demon ship because you kill a demon mob, and then you get the loot from the hold, and then you get the dubs from sinking it. And like I think it was between 8 and 10,000 raw currency for doing a small ship.
yeah, yeah,
So I I think those were all good changes. I think they went the right direction. Um, he tried to slow PvP down. He made a couple of changes that slowed PvP down. He increased just the hit points that sails and guns get and hull, but sails and guns more so. So on a ship, you've got 3 health stats. You've got hull, sails, guns. and you have to break one of them to some threshold before you could perform more actions. Um, he increased that by a lot. And he also changed boarding. Boarding is when you go onto somebody else's boat. It used to be you had to break either the sails or the guns to 50% to board before Wildlands. After Wildlands, it became 33%. So you have to get rid of 66% of the sails and then you can try to board. Realistically, you're not boarding until you're at 10%, you know. Um, those two things together slowed down the getting on somebody else's ship and having this more traditional UO
Fight.
cast spells at each other, hit each other with sticks,
Yep. Yep.
fight. What the unintended consequence of that, because it slowed down, which is, in my opinion, a good thing, it was. The unintended side effect is it takes me longer to kill you in an even scenario. I jumped you, you were fighting an NPC.
Yep.
It takes me pre Wildlands a minute to get on your boat and loot you. Post Wildlands, it takes me 2 to 3 minutes. And the unintended side effect of that is
Call for
all your
help.
buddies show up
Yeah.
when I jump you. There are no 1v1s anymore when they're between alliances.
Yeah.
Like there's 3 people out there that I know if I start shit with them, if they catch me farming or I catch them farming, they're gonna give me a 1v1. And it's just people that, we played against each other for so long, we want to see who wins.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but you don't get that individual fight anymore, and that's one of the worst things that happened to PvP, in my opinion, because it slowed it down, and the response speed didn't slow down, and it shouldn't. Slowing any response speed down would be really, really bad just for farming in general. And so it exasperated the problems with numbers win.
Yeah, I can see that completely. I know that if I when I see somebody that I'm stealing from and I know that they're going to fight me and it's going to be a good old, we're going to fight till the end.
Yeah.
That's fun, and then I can definitely see on that side, especially in boating, man. I'm a when I boat, I mean, I'm sure you could probably guess, but I just kind of go out there. I don't jump in a Discord or whatever. A lot of times if I'm playing, I'm just playing by myself because otherwise I'm streaming. You know what I mean? And
Right, right.
and so
Don't ever
boating's
stream
not
where
the
you are on the water.
yeah, well, boating's not really the content you want to be playing solo either, right? And but
Right.
either way, I know that if I see somebody, most of the time people are coming for me. It's not just one, but
Oh, man.
those ones that do happen that were, and I haven't boated at all in Wildlands, but either way, the 1v1s, man, that's some adrenaline and good time,
Oh,
man.
man, yeah.
Because you
I,
got so much more to lose, but it's just fun.
a and, the second part of your question, what do I hope to see or what I hope he never does? I really want to see a way to engage newer players that doesn't involve the initial investment that you have to do now. It's become hard enough out there that you can't really just get on a blank large and go farm. You're probably in trouble if you try to do that. You have to at least know the systems, and I wish that there was a stepping stone between blank large, or okay to farm small ships and never seen the water. And I know there's fishing, but fishing appeals to a whole different dynamic of people.
Yeah,
And
I don't really feel like fishing and shooting NPC boats down are really
yeah.
much the same. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a good bootstrap, but it's if I want to go shoot ships, I don't want to go fish. Like
Yeah.
they're different systems. But if he added non-ship spawns on the water, like water elementals or trolls or water spawn that you could go out there on a small and fight, then I think that would be a good stepping stone. Um, Also, maybe if there was some kind of boat rental system, like you could go to a dockmaster and rent a boat for some amount of gold that was already set up to do these things. And you know what? By nature, it would be less strong than one that I built,
Yeah.
but something along those lines that kind of gave a ramp into the
Yeah.
ocean PVM PvP situation.
That'd be cool. Like maybe like a newbie dungeon for
Yeah,
boaters,
yeah.
you know?
Something. I mean, and
Sure.
then the thing that I really hope I don't see is I hope he doesn't gut PvP. Um, I I would understand if he did. Like I legitimately would understand if he said this 30 to 100 people have completely gate kept this system from the rest of the shard, and I'm removing the ability to shoot other players' boats. Like from a game design perspective,
Sure.
I un actually, from game design, it doesn't make as much sense. But from a social situation perspective and the fucking shit they have to deal with in Discord,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
think about if he did, right? If he did, hypothetically, the amount of people that would instantly get onto the ocean and how crowded it would be,
oh yeah,
it
it'd be
would,
a shit show.
yeah, I think it would be detrimental. I think it would be terrible for the server if he killed PvP because, you know, the number one reason that people say they play Ultima Online is risk averse reward. And if you
Yeah.
take the area that has the highest reward and you remove the risk, why am I anywhere else? This game has now
Oh
become
yeah.
pirates, the high seas of Ultima Online, you know, which for some people it is, but I just
Yeah.
mean like the entire server is that, and I hope not.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I really hope we don't see happen.
Yeah,
He made a threat recently that he would do it, but I've mentioned a few times I got in a few very public arguments with Luthien, but it's always around. He'll come in there, people are being assholes. He has to change the system because people are abusing it, and he'll say, "I'm just going to delete the ocean. I'm going to delete ships." And this last time, he's like, "Keep your shit up, and I'm just going to remove PvP." And I'm like, you know what? That one sounds like something he'd really do. So I
yeah.
hope he doesn't.
If he did, better reduce the loot. But either way, I hope he doesn't. You know, because I don't
I
know, man. You know, the
don't.
PvP and that aggravation that players have between each other, man. That's Ultima Online to me, man. You
Oh yeah,
know,
no, I think so too, and but as a person who is dealing with it's the most competitive, in my opinion. Ocean content is the most competitive system on Outlands. Everybody's trying to eke out that 1% advantage. And because of that, you've got people who they find an unintended mechanic or even an intended mechanic that is overly strong. They are going to use it to
sure.
the absolute extreme to win. And I just nature of the beast, you want to win. And so I get it, but at the same time I hope to God nothing like that happens. So anyway, that's those are the things I hope to see and hope not to see.
Yeah, no, that would that's good. That's good. I mean, boating has always been up and down. There's been so many chases or changes in boating since the very beginning, and yeah, I mean, with that is you know, with something that's so rewarding and there's so much passion from the players in there. You know, any change always makes like side
Yeah.
eyes, like wait, what? You know, and
Yeah.
people find different, like you said, niches that give them that advantage or what have you, and when that's removed, it causes quite a big, a big hiccup in the system or what have you. So you
Oh,
know,
I'm telling you, man.
yeah. But I mean, they're with the new boats. You think he'll add more boats, more
I
crew
don't think
types,
this
anything like that?
So I don't want to sound like I know Lucius or his
Sure.
intentions. I have talked to him a fair amount about things that, I'll make a suggestion and he'll give feedback on it. And I feel like we've got a decent pulse on kind of his mindset towards it. I feel like this one's going to be a systems adjustment more than a content adjustment.
Yeah.
Um, I, I I could be entirely wrong. He might completely surprise us, but my suspicion is this one is mostly underlying mechanics, making things to where they're easier to work with in the future.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he utilizes some of that time to make the overall ecosystem better. But we'll see what comes. I'm really looking forward. He did say that this one would go on test before it hits live, so
That's always
I
good.
I know for a fact that I'll be streaming test and trying to figure things out early.
So, day one, new boater. What do you suggest to him?
Have friends.
Yeah.
Um,
Have friends.
it's
There you go.
if you're getting out there and you don't have friends that boat, I strongly advise anybody to go join Ships PVM. There are two ships channels on the Outlands Discord. Ships PvP is an absolute dumpster fire shithole that nobody should ever go in. I love it. I'm in it every day. Ships PvP is just awful. But Ships PVM has some of the nicest and most helpful people that I've ever seen. And these are people who are really, really bloodthirsty pirates. I'm one of them. But they're in there and they're like, "Oh yeah, this formula does this, and oh, you need to understand this. Here, let me give you 1,000,000 gold worth of crew and upgrades to get started."
Yeah.
And I'm not promising everybody who's listening to this 1,000,000 gold and crew and upgrades, but there are people in there who'll be like, "Hey, let me give you a starter package."
Yeah.
And when I was boating a lot, I got a wreath for a season 1 year. I donated probably 75 to 100 crew and as many upgrades as well to Burgle. Burgle's a really good friend of mine, and Burgle put together new player packages and would hand them out to people who are getting started. So, biggest advice that I would have to anybody starting out, go to Ships PVM. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We've repeated it a million times and we'll repeat it a million times again.
Sure. I, it is. I agree with you. When people come into my stream or ask it wherever, hey, how do I get into boating? I'm always like, well, make some friends, and I don't know near as much as you, and I'm not going to pretend to, because like I said, I haven't boated since, a while,
Oh,
but
man.
it is. I mean, that is where you want to have friends. It's a MMORPG for a reason, and boating, there really isn't much solo play out there. I would be very interested to understand a story from somebody that was there on day one, you know what I mean? And was
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
ends
man.
and using begging to get crew members. And, you know, how did the first boat, who was the first person to launch the boat? Who got the first crew? Like,
Oh, yeah.
because you,
Yeah, I'll
you
tell you a
can't get
story.
out
It's
there.
not my story, but I've been
Yeah.
told this story by multiple people and I love it.
Uh-huh.
So, in the olden days, there used to be a thing called ransom where if you lost an upgrade,
Yes.
when you sank, you could lose an upgrade and people could ransom it back to you.
Yeah.
And there was kind of just this gentleman's agreement, shake your own hands, between all the big boating guilds that, hey, we'll do it for market price, et cetera, et cetera. GG comes on the scene. And Gigi Leo decides that he wants to get into boating, and they start taking the ransom and putting it up for fuck you prices. And overnight changed the whole boating scene from this kind of gentleman's agreement to no, screw those guys. And I love that story because it really articulates how the mechanic didn't change, the social situation changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really, really interesting to see things like that happen in games.
Yeah. No, it really is. And Ultima is the biggest one that can happen that I've ever played. I mean, I'm sure there's probably another game out there like that, but
I've
I
heard that
doubt it.
from Eve Online. Eve Online
Oh yeah,
being
probably.
the thing that it is, but as much as I love space sims, I never got into that one.
I haven't either. Yeah, no, and it's been around a while.
Long
I
as
don't know,
Ultima,
but
almost, yeah.
yeah, it's one of the original ones. I mean, with EverQuest, Ultima, and Eve. But so when you gonna when you getting back into streaming, man? When can I see you go live again?
Oh man, maybe next week even. This week's just been busy.
Yeah,
Just real life once again has hit me. But I think I've got some free mornings next week. So
good,
if I don't stream, I'll at least create some YouTube videos in the near future, some gameplay videos.
cool.
And mid-sea's coming up. Let's. I got to knock the rust off. Like I played today for the first time in quite a while, and I I I should have killed somebody. I rolled up on him on my PvP ship and I let him get to shore and I was pissed off. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I had the blocks. Why didn't I block him? And then I was PVMing and I got chased to dock. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I should have fought, but I didn't feel confident. I got to get that all out of my system before mid sea shows up.
I'm gonna tell my friend Beltane. So Beltane used to boat a lot. He's logging into refresh. He's on refresh status right now. But
Yeah.
he's actually in Florida right now on vacation, which is funny because we keep going back to retirement in Florida. But yeah, he boats. That's all he does. But anyways, I got to tell him, hey man, you need to get home, hop onto the ocean because Brozan's back, and he's rusty. Because I will not forget, he texted me. He was like, dude, I ran into Brozan and I almost got him. He killed me, but I swear I almost got him. He
Oh,
was just so excited. This is like two
I
years
love
ago
it.
or something, man. But he was, I mean, he was like, he said, I freaked out because I saw him. I knew it was him. And I just wanted to get him killed.
I love it, man.
But he loved it. He was just, he texted me all about it. So,
It's some of the best interactions I have are with people that I fight, or I'll be streaming and I'll roll up on somebody that's in the stream watching, because you know this. I'm sure a
yeah,
lot of the other people watching this know this, but stream sniping is a very, very real thing on the ocean. If I drive past 3 tiles of land, it is easy to
yeah,
somebody knows where I am all of a sudden,
yeah,
and so a lot of times when I stream, I do a lot. I filter my journal. I block a bunch of chat areas. My map's behind something. I cover my screen when I launch, but still, I'll be out and I'll be boating, and I'll run into somebody who's in my stream, and we'll fight. And it's some of the best interactions because we're out there, we're trying to kill each other, but we still enjoy that boating. We still enjoy that. And I've made it I've had a few times where I've melted down and I've been really shitty to somebody. But
happens. Yeah,
in general, I kill you, you kill me. It's all fun.
yeah.
That's the system. We love it. Wouldn't want it any other way. Um, Oddly enough, it's the other nerds that I usually there's somebody that tries to come after me and shifts PvP every now and then, and they're the ones that really piss me off and
Yeah.
get blocked, and it'd be something. The most recent one, some GG guy, he's like, I decompiled your mapper and I found out what your server IP is. I'm like, good fucking luck, dude. You gonna DDoS AWS where my server's hosted? Who fucking cares? I mean, and
Like,
that's the kind of shit that I'm like, man, why you take that so far?
yeah, yeah,
Go decompile that code, learn my secrets. That's fun, but don't come at me acting like a damn fool.
yeah. Over a video game. you know, it is wild. Yeah, street sniping is a real thing. If I was on the ocean, I know I would take
Oh
it a
yeah,
lot more
dude.
seriously. But on land, I'm just like, yeah, come on, man. Let me make a fool of you, please. Let's have some fun. I will
Yeah.
gladly run from six of you guys and then talk shit the whole way. Boating, you you don't. it's so much more difficult to run from people in boating, and survive 1v6. You know what I mean?
It's the time investment for me. The
Yeah.
So I don't mind that somebody found me out there. Like I was doing shallow water farming on stream, which by nature means I'm right on the bank and people quickly know where you are.
Yep.
And and I swear to God, I'm not calling people out. It's the nature of it. You see where I am, you want to come kill me, great.
Yeah.
But it happened 3 times in about a 30-minute period where somebody would come harass me and I'd have to dock.
Yeah.
But when you dock, you gotta reset all your loot, you gotta reset your boat. There's a whole process
Yeah.
of getting back out there. And it kills like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's the more annoying part of and
Yep.
why I'm so careful with my screen. That's the fights. Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Sure.
It's
Let's have
the
some fun. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the inability to do things becomes the problem.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah. Again, I keep comparing it, even though there is absolutely no comparison to it. But if I die on land, it's okay, cool. Run to the healer. Okay, go recall to my house. Hit click on my shelf, and I'm back into the fray.
You know, it's
Boating,
funny you say
not
that
going.
because on land when I die, I get more pissed off.
Oh,
But it's usually because I got blue griefed, and I'm like, if we were on the water, I'd have just killed you. It's
yeah,
when Cav 4 came out, I'm in
yeah,
there with my brother. We're screwing around, you know. I hadn't played with him in months. He was back online, and we're in Cav 4. We're having a good time, and somebody comes down and drags one of those murder tornadoes on top of us, and then loots him. I get away. They loot him. He goes gray. Chase him down, and it was fun. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
fun, and I look back on the memory fondly. In the moment, I'm like, "Motherfucker,
Yeah.
you're blue. Don't kill me if we're both good guys."
That's that's a classic Pwnstarr move. I'm sorry. No, I hear you, man. That's good. That's good. Well, cool, man. So, you know, as far as your YouTube channel, I mean, are you going to keep just posting some more new templates, new changes that come across? I mean, what you got planned for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I usually do long form content, and by that I mean I do gameplay, full start to finish. This is what a session looks like. I will do tutorials. I like to mix in tutorials when systems change. I have a very large library of ocean tutorials already, though, and so there's not really a lot to cover off on right now.
Yeah.
But we see a patch, we see mid-sea coming. I'll do quick tutorials on them, uh, but overall, it'll be some long-form gameplay.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it. I mean, especially in boating, because somebody that's trying to get into it, you know, they want to see what's the beginning and what's the end look like, and all the in between, and what
Yeah.
can I expect. So totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, if this one is, the next few questions I ask everybody these, but so you've got, let's pretend Owen and Luthien are sitting in here right now, and they say, "Listen, man, Brozan, whatever you want, tell us. You got one
Yeah.
make a wish."
I'm gonna put an idea in your head, and when I do, you're gonna be like, "Damn, I'm gonna champion this for Brozan." But
Okay.
there should be a roguelike system in Outlands. And by roguelike, I mean you start in Green Acres, you got 4 doors, you go through one of them, and it inside there you get a bunch of options. You become a swordsman, you become a mage, whatever. You go through another door, you find armor, you find something, and slowly you evolve a character and you have to win with that character, but it's different every time. It's randomized. And so, you'll never play the same game twice, but it's all UO systems.
Yeah.
So,
So it's kind of
a
like an event
roguelike,
like Strangelands, but it would be a roguelike in
yeah,
an ultimate. That's cool as shit. Yes, I will champion
I
that 100%.
I I honest to God downloaded. the classic UO client and started writing it. And then I was like, I'm never going to put this out there in any form, so I'm not going to continue the effort. But
You
yeah,
should.
I
You,
think that a system like that could be extremely fun to play, because and you could do it in groups of three or whatever. You just base it around going through doors, and you give them options like this door is combat, this door is an item, this door is an NPC selling stuff,
yeah,
and you have to do combat to earn gold to buy from the vendors, and you essentially make the UO roguelike. And man, the there are
I think that's
technical
cool.
limitations to it because you would have to have a dungeon map for each instance of people running it, but you do something like, survival gear as a requirement to launch it. Some consumable to keep people from just spamming it all day.
Yeah, just kind of like pit trials, you know. Um,
Yeah.
no, I think that's really cool. You know, Jace owns. He always jokes about wanting to make an idle RPG. He loves idle games,
Oh, yeah.
and he's like, I want to make an idle that's based, you know, uses the Ultima Online engine. That's what I want to do, and I think a roguelike and the Ultima Online engine would be cool as shit too, man. I
It could
mean,
be. Could be a lot of
the
fun, man.
the Ultima Online engine is it's I don't know. There's so much you can do with it. You know, I can just see so many things, and I've seen so many things over the last almost 30 years now. Anything would be cool. So I think that'd be neat in Outlands, just like Strangelands. It's a completely different system. You
Yeah.
get points. There's rewards for it. Shoot, throw a roguelike in there too. Why not?
Uh, yeah, man.
What other games do you play? What other games are you
Oh,
excited
shit.
about coming out? I've been playing a lot of Doom
Ah.
Dark Ages lately.
So I'm a traditional first person shooter gamer. I used to play a lot more RPGs than I do today. I find it hard to sit through an entire RPG now. Baldur's Gate 3 was a big, that one was a lot of fun.
Yep.
I played Counter Strike. God, I played so much Counter Strike back in the day. Like competitively, went to large organized events
Oh boy.
competitively. Played League of Legends more than I ever care to admit. I was in, before they had the current system with like diamond, bronze, all that crap. I was in the top 10,000 when they just had ranked. Uh, RimWorld, big plug for RimWorld. RimWorld is one of those games that it's a different story every time you play it. It's a colony sim. I usually cycle though, so I'll heavily play UO for a little while, and then I'll maintenance play UO is what I call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll heavily engage with UO, like it'll take up all my gaming time, and then I'll play Hearthstone Battlegrounds. I play a lot of that on the side, and then I'll because I could play Battlegrounds during work meetings.
What is Battlegrounds in difference of Hearthstone? Because I used to have Hearthstone on my phone and I would play a lot of it,
Yeah.
but this is
Did
10
you ever
years
hear of
ago.
auto chess? Auto chess for Dota, those types
Okay.
of games.
Yep.
Uh, it's It is an auto battler in that you set up an army of minions and they fight the opponent's army of minions. And, it's stats and all that crap, but you don't actually control which one each minion hits.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I play that a lot. And Path of Exile. Path of Exile, I've got 10,000 hours on probably. That's that game
Did you play
consumes me.
did you play the Path of Exile 2?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 I'm not as impressed with it as I thought I would be.
Okay.
I played all the way to endgame on two characters, like level 95 characters,
Yep.
and then I tried to come back to it with 0.20 that just came out, and they released one new class, the Javazon. I forget what they
Yeah,
call it
I
in
know what you're
theirs.
talking about. Yeah, it's not a huntress, but it might have been. I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
and then they put some new ascendancies in, but there's an inherent gameplay problem with Path of Exile 2 that I just can't get over, and it's frustrating to me. So, but I'm not going to tear it down. That's not what this is about.
No, it's all good. I will tell you that I was a big Diablo fan. grew up playing Diablo to the point that I thought there was some weird connection with Diablo and the heaven and hell, because I was a kid and I was just like, oh, I
Yeah,
found
yeah.
that, whatever. And a lot of late nights. But, anyways, um, and so I've always just really been into the story of Diablo. And then, Path of Exile 1 was out, and, certain friends would be like, dude, Path of Exile is way better than Diablo. And I'm like, no, dude, it's Blizzard, it's Diablo, it's way better. And I'd logged into Path of Exile like one time, and I made a necro, and I got to the first town, and I was like, yeah, it's Diablo. But, meh. Path of Exile 2, I made a channel in my Discord. It was PoE2 no guide. So basically, anybody who was going to play with me, we weren't going to look up anything. Even
Oh
to
yeah,
the
nice.
point, like, we didn't look at the website to see what classes there were. Like, we were going into this completely blind. And so for the first, like, month of it being out, there'd be like 10 people in the Discord, and we're all just kind of playing together, just learning it all. And, it was neat because back at the beginning of me and you talking, we were talking about you didn't know anything. And so
Yeah,
that's what we did. And it
the
was just
discovery.
us 10 talking and putting it into a little channel and being like, well, this and this. And listen, I know some people were looking stuff up and be like, well, if you do this, this, and this, and you're a god. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
motherfucker. But whatever, I'm having a good time. And it was a good time. Me and a couple others, we got a character up there, got to end game, and then it was like back to Ultima. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, it it cycles for me. I'll
yeah,
have a strong desire to play UO for a little while, and then
yeah,
it'll peter out a little bit, and I'll play those other games, then I'll come back.
yeah.
Um, Outlands, though, and I know we talked about this, but Outlands has held my attention more than
Oh,
any UO ever.
yeah, yeah. Me too. And that what you just said also is like the biggest turn on thing that I like about it is that I can play another game while I'm still on Outlands. Shit, I could play another Ultima server if I wanted to. It doesn't really matter because my stuff's still here and I'm not
Yeah.
any weaker in comparison as the game. Like, I'm still going to be able to go to the same places or other places. And, if a new dungeon comes out, I can go there. It's, I don't know,
Yeah.
you're still
That's I
there.
was talking about it. I played today to knock the rust off a little bit, and I
Yeah.
don't remember what some of my hotkeys do, but
Yeah.
I knew exactly what motion to make with my hand to use the hotkey.
Your muscle memory kind of there. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Um, so the last question I ask, I mean, you've already answered it. Maybe somebody comes to mind as well, or you can just say the same person. But who should be the next person on the Pwncast?
Yeah, so we already spoiled it, but Chopper would have actually been my suggestion because
Yeah,
just the history. He's one of those guys that he knows so much about so much from the early days. There's another guy that I think you would really, really enjoy. His name is Corwin. Have you interacted with Corwin at all?
Corwin. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually learned of Corwin through his son Angus the Stallion played a lot more than Corwin did, but he's an old school gamer, and he played all the Ultimas. He's more of a I don't want to call him a dad gamer because that feels unfair, but he's that guy who he was just that really fun dude in the 80s, you know?
Okay.
Like
Cool.
I met this guy online and I'm literally reading a book he suggested to me from the 70s
That's
right
cool.
now.
Yeah.
But he's got this really interesting history of how it all came up. And he can also talk to what it's like having kids that play the game. And
Oh, cool. Yeah.
having to I know we're ending here, but I very much tried to teach my kids not to be like me with gaming addiction, because I understand that I truly suffer from gaming addiction,
Uh huh.
and
Me
I
too.
make it a point to dial my time back purposefully. I'll say I'm only playing 2 hours today, which by normal people's standards that's still a fucking lot, but for my standards it's not 13. So.
Yeah.
Um, he, that's something too that would be interesting to talk through with
Oh,
somebody who has seen their kids grow up in the gaming age.
I would like that. Yeah, I think that would be very cool, actually. Especially, I mean, considering my father's the one who got me into Ultima and gaming and all that, and I can definitely, I understand what you're saying. I play video
Yeah.
games and do more here than I probably should, but it is what it is, man.
Oh, no, no, and
I could be out
I'm
doing
not putting
something way
anybody
worse.
down. Oh God, yeah. I'm not putting anybody down for the hobby.
Sure.
I know myself, and
Yeah.
I am a I am an all or nothing addict to everything that I do. I start watching baseball, I'm gonna go to all the baseball games, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I'm the same
That's
way.
just who I am.
I get into something and I want to like do it and I want to learn it and I might suck at it at the beginning, but you better believe I'm going to understand it by the time I'm done and I'm with you on that 100%. I think we can relate there for sure. So, well, cool, man. Dude, hey, I really appreciate you
Yeah.
accepting. I reached out to you. I was like I was thinking there's so many facets of subcultures of Outlands, and one part of it that I haven't talked to is boating. And who's the first person that comes to mind with boating? Well, Brozan does. So
I'll
I was like,
I'll
let
leave
me
you with
reach
a
out.
bit of a I'll leave
Go
you
ahead.
with a bit of a meme because you said that, but
Yeah,
I I like the word prolific because it describes me very well. And a couple of guys picked up on that on Ships PvP a few months ago, and because I use the word too damn much, but prolific means you do something a lot.
uh,
It doesn't mean you're good at it. It means that you are known for doing it.
yeah.
And anyway, I am a prolific boater.
I'm prolific in a lot of things, Ultima too, man. I'm with you. That's good. I like it. So
Oh man, Pone, I'm going to leave you with a fun story as we're signing off.
okay.
I like telling this one, but we talked about Ultima and how it impacts how we got started and stuff. I I want to tell a success story from Ultima.
Okay.
I got my very first job, the same company I worked for 18 years later, because I played Ultima Online. I went to an interview as an intern at this company, and they said, "Tell us something interesting about yourself," as part of the interview
Yeah.
process. And I said, "Well, this is going to sound a little nerdy, but I play this game, Ultima Online, and I write scripts to automate the game. And this is why I'm good at coding because it takes, and I explained the
Sure.
emergent behavior and what you had to think about. And I said, and that's why you should consider me because I know how to do this in this emergent, ever changing landscape. And I'm a college kid. I'm applying for an internship, and so I get the job. And
Yeah.
2 years later, I'm talking to my boss at the time, and I'd already moved to role level developer, and he said, "You want to hear a funny story, man? There were three of you, and we only had one intern slot, and we hired you because you told that story about that video game."
Yeah.
And I was like, Ultima Online's why I'm successful as I am.
Yeah. Man, passion, dude. Passion goes a long way. It really does. It really does. So that's awesome, man. Well, again, man, I appreciate you. Um, and I look forward to hopefully catching you live next week if you do go live or the following.
Yeah.
And, watching some whatever comes that may be to ships PVM and PvP and just the ship people world and
The ship heads. Yeah.
yeah, all that good stuff, man. But everybody else, thank you for watching. Pwnstarr Gaming out.